Opener is tonight on 97.3. That's right, over on our sister station, Rock 104.1. So we got the Phillies tonight on 97.3 ESPN FM. The Sixers on Rock 104.1. Oh, and by the way, the Flyers are playing as well tonight. It's a crazy time of year. And how convenient is it? It's so nice for the NFL to coordinate with Philly sports fans' hopes and dreams and to have no Eagles this week. So the Eagles, there's no distraction of the Eagles. Obviously, I say that in tongue in cheek. I mean, the Eagles are undefeated right now. So obviously, it's a little tongue in cheek. We're going to get into all of the Phillies sports stuff with Dan Neuby Alexander. He's the co-host of the Cash Considerations podcast. I was on the podcast with him and Dave Sharapan a couple weeks ago. So he's going to return the favor and jump on here. And for those who don't know, Neuby, he's a diehard Phillies sports fan, aside from being on a national podcast. So we'll get his perspective on the Phillies, the Eagles, the Sixers tonight, coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We're going to get to the Phillies first because the Phillies, who are playing tonight on 97.3 ESPN FM, game one of the NLCS. For those who may be wondering, the Yankees lead 5-1 in the final game of the ALDS in the sixth inning. And they currently are trying to score more runs. So they're 5-1 right now. So you may have the Phillies and the Yankees both in the conference finals for each league. And by the way, I'll never forget, Mike Gillard always talking about moments you don't forget or moments in time. That Phillies-Yankees series in 2009, that was a very interesting experience for a lot of people in this area. So that'll be very fascinating if both of those teams end up in the World Series. But one step at a time, the Phillies are playing tonight. And one of my big thoughts on the Phillies game tonight is the Phillies have won the last two series because they're the hot team. They're a team that caught fire in the Cardinals series, outplayed the Braves 3 out of 4 games. The one game they lost 3-0, and you kind of chalk it up to just a bad day at the ballpark kind of thing. The rest of the series, the Phillies just outplayed the Braves from beginning to end, the other 3 games. In the Cardinals series, they were the team that got the small ball, the clutch hits, the clutch moments. You're now going against the San Diego team that has taken a similar path to this moment. The Padres crushed Scherzer in that first game. Then they lost to DeGrom, and then they dominated the Mets for that third game. Then they lost game 1 to the Dodgers. And people thought, oh, well, here come the Dodgers again. But what happened? The Padres played a little small ball. They were the better team for 3 of those 4 games. The Padres and Phillies roads to this moment in time both started for me at the trade deadline. Because when the Padres acquired Juan Soto, the idea was that even if Tatis doesn't come back, you're getting one of the best players on the planet to come to your team. And then the Josh Hader deal, Hader was not good for about 2 months before he finally found himself again. But you could argue that if it wasn't for Hader struggling in August and part of September, you could argue maybe the Padres are not the number 2 wild card. Maybe they're the number 1 wild card. And maybe the Phillies don't have their path to where they're going. The Padres could have won more than 89 games this year. Maybe the Padres are a 92, 93 win team, and maybe it's the Braves who get the Mets who get the number 2 wild card spot, right? So there's a lot of what ifs that go into the Padres season. The Phillies on the flip side, to me, I told Mike Gillard earlier on the Sports Bash show on 97.3 ESPN that when the Phillies made those trades on the deadline day, I felt the mood of the Phillies fan base change. Because for the first time, Philly fans felt like they were being handed something. You got rid of Moniak, you got rid of Herrera, you got rid of Familia, and you replaced them with Syndergaard, Marsh, and Robertson. That was the feeling of that deadline. And what happened is that Marsh, off and on, injured. So that was kind of a little issue they had to work through. But he's still been an incredible addition aside from the home run in the final game. It's also his defense has been a massive upgrade. Robertson, for the most part, has been a great addition and a clutch player for them. The disappointment's been Syndergaard. But why is Syndergaard like Hader? Well, what did Syndergaard do? When people said, why are you starting Syndergaard, right? Why are you putting him out there? Well, he gave you 3 good innings. And then the bullpen took over. And what was the weakness of the Phillies last season in 2021 and in 2020 is now become arguably one of their most important aspects of this team. And by the way, the Padres are not much different because you go back into their clinching game against the Dodgers and you find out that, Musgrove won 6 innings, but they had to get 4 pitchers out of their bullpen to get them to that finish line. The Padres are also using their bullpen more often than not. So to me, I think that this is a great matchup of 2 teams that are coming in a similar point in time. The question is, which team that is hot right now is going to be the team that finishes the job? This is a 7-game series. So you went from 3 games to 5 to best of 7. And I wouldn't be surprised if this series goes all 7. Phillies baseball tonight. ESPN radio coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Tonight, tomorrow, Phillies at 4:30 p.m. So Mike Gill will be leading you right into the Phillies game tomorrow at 4:30. Then they have Thursday off, back in Philadelphia, Friday night. We'll have that game as well here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Of course, you can join the conversation. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Dan Neuby Alexander will join me coming up in less than 10 minutes from now. He's the co-host of Cash Considerations as well as Diehard Phillies sports fan. We'll get his thoughts on the 3 teams who are all in the spotlight right now. By the way, shout out to Devlin who's listening out there. Appreciate him listening to the show and thanking us for being on the air. Well, we appreciate you listening, Devlin. I'm sure Mike Gill appreciates all the listeners out there. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in and says, I'm betting on all 3 teams to win tonight. $10 brings me home $145. Let's go with 4 exclamation points. First of all, Jeff, I don't know if I would have made that bet, but you know what? More power to you. That's my first reaction. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Sixers win tonight. No Robert Williams tonight for the Celtics is a big part of that matchup that nobody's talking about. I think that every time I've turned on a national show, whether it's on ESPN or NBA TV, talking about tonight's Sixers opening, almost nobody's talking about the fact that there's no Robert Williams tonight. I was just talking about the coach. Dude, I could care less about the Ime Udoka thing, okay? I could care less that there's some rando dude roaming the sidelines. Because guess what? Half the NBA is full of rando dudes who are head coaches. Robert Williams was a huge part of the Celtics' run to the NBA Finals last year. He is not playing tonight. So what you're doing is you have Al Horford, who's a year older, Grant Williams, who's one of the more streaky players in the entire league. now have to go mano-a-mano with Joel Embiid, and now you have Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench, who's like the Energizer Bunny, basically. I think the Sixers have a huge advantage down in the post tonight. I think that their three forwards are extremely better right now than the Celtics, what the Celtics are going to send out there tonight. So I love the Sixers to win tonight. The Phillies really comes down to, do you believe in what the Padres have shown you so far? If you believe that the Padres team that has only lost twice this entire postseason, just like the Phillies, are one of the hottest teams in baseball, then you also have to believe that this is a game that's going to come down to the wire, and a clutch hit or a clutch moment is going to change that game. If you believe that the Padres beat two of the best teams in baseball during the regular season, the Dodgers and the Mets, then you're probably going to assume that the Padres are going to beat the Phillies tonight. But if you believe the Phillies and Padres are equals, then it's going to be anyone's game. And for right now, I'm going to lean Wheeler over Darvish, only because I think that Wheeler is going to give you more innings tonight than Darvish will. And I think that might be the real deal breaker for tonight's game. Flyers are playing the Lightning. I have zero faith in them to win the game. Sorry. I hope I'm wrong, because I'll be watching the Flyers, because the Flyers come on first. The Flyers come on first, then the Sixers come on, then the Phillies come on. These staggered start times is the only thing that's saving Philly sports fans right now. We'll get more into the Sixers, Eagles, and Flyers next year on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Dan Neuby Alexander from Cash Considerations joins me next.
The National League Championship Series on ESPN Radio.
The Philadelphia Phillies knocks out the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. The San Diego Padres have knocked off the Los Angeles Dodgers.
It's the best of seven with a trip to the World Series on the line. Game one of the Padres and Phillies, presented by AutoZone. Coverage begins today at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
It's Phillies playoff baseball on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The Tomato Law Firm focuses their practice on representing those who have been seriously injured in construction, product liability, and motor vehicle collisions. Their firm handles cases throughout the country, primarily focusing on representing injured victims in Southern New Jersey. They've been focused on helping accident victims in Southern New Jersey for more than 50 years. If you've bing seriously injured, do not wait. Call Tomato Law today at 609-926-3300 or visit DAMATOLawFirm.com.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Order a Grilled Spicy Deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for the testimonial.
This is Loyalty Lab Interview 6. Subject, grandmother's loyalty. Margie, what do you do when your grandson misbehaves?
Angels don't misbehave.
Here we study the most loyal, like you and... Oh, there goes the lamp.
Shouldn't have put it there.
Shell and the Fuel Rewards program has our members' backs, too. It's super easy to save on every gallon. Loyal, just like how you acted like that wasn't his fault.
Someone should clean that up before he gets hurt.
Yes! Loyal, just like that.
10 years of FR.com. Terms and conditions apply.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Son, get in the car.
No, Dad, not your car. It smells horrid and it looks awful. I'm scared, Dad. I'm really scared.
Is your old car really scary? Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Push, pull, even drag it in to Matt Platt Mitsubishi and get more for your trade when you purchase any select new 2022 Mitsubishi SUV, plus every new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross or Outlander SUV. Put zero down and pay only 2.9% financing. Worried that your credit will make car buying scary? Matt Platt Mitsubishi knows bad things happen to good people. We finance your future, not your past, even if your credit is less than perfect. Simply Matt Platt Mitsubishi. Unapproved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Go to mattplattmitsubishi.com for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 11/5/22. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
And Doug. Hey, listener. Welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it.
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Ooh, Halloween. The season for goblins, witches, and scary good fun. But Walgreens knows it's also the doorbell never stops season, and we can't run out of candy season. So let Walgreens fill your Halloween bowl fast with pickup in as little as 30 minutes and delivery in as little as 1 hour. Because if it's needed in a poof season, it's Walgreens season.
This week, all snack-size bags of Kit Kats are $2.49 each. Offer valid through 10/22 while supplies last. Restrictions apply. See Walgreens.com for details.
When you support your local small businesses, it helps keep your neighbors employed, helps kids save for college, and strengthens your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts local businesses in the spotlight. Made a New Home Remodeling. Make your dreams a reality. MadeANewHomeRemodeling.com. Dr. Lyle M. Back for everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to ILoveLyleBack.com. Comfort Now by Bob McAllister. Improve the comfort in your home. Call 609-400-1005 and ask about discounts, rebates, and incentives. Online at IWantComfortNow.com. Filling Marble and Tile Outlet, Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30 in Egg Harbor City. FillingMarble.com. Maurice Piers. For tickets and passes, visit MauricePiers.com. East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows serves all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Call East Coast today at 609-646-1444. Online at eastcoastroofing.com. Thank you for supporting your local businesses from Town Square Media South Jersey.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City with 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating. It's the place to be. I mean, Flyers at 7, Sixers like 7:40-ish. They'll actually the ball on TNT. Phillies around 8:10 is first pitch. Why not bet, watch, and win at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit FanDuel.com/playable. Learn more. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey to bet online. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Jeff in Ocean City texted in earlier saying that he is betting on all 3 teams to win tonight. Well, we'll ask a man who knows a lot about betting. He is the co-host of the Cash Considerations podcast at Neuby Talks on Twitter. It's Dan Alexander. Dan, I could not think of a better person to talk to in the midst of this Philly sports nirvana. How you doing, my friend?
Josh, it is so great to hear your voice, man. Happy that you reached out to have me on here. The 3-team parlay of all the Philly teams tonight, man, that could be a great night for our guy from Ocean City, or that could be pain because your sports team lost and now your wallet hurts too. It's a bold move, man.
I told him I believe in the Sixers to win tonight. I'm with him there. Phillies, it depends on how you look at the Padres. I see that. Flyers are losing. I already told him the Flyers are losing to Lightning tonight. If the Flyers win tonight, it will probably be the bigger upset of anything that's happened in the last several days, honestly.
Absolutely. That would be the biggest upset, even just from the odds. What, you shop around and you can get up to about 260 on your money line take that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a juicy parlay piece, but it is for the reason. It would be like anybody who used that Justin Herbert boost last night. You could take his touchdown from 800 to plus 100. The juicy odds, I don't know, Josh, they can bite you sometimes, but yeah, those Flyers, the 2-0 start has us believing out of the gate. Who saw that coming? But we know the shoe's going to drop at some point, Josh. It's just when does it drop?
Yeah, they're the Flyers. And by the way, the Johnny Gaudreau curse will kick in at some point. So let's get to the other 3 teams, Dan.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So I'm going to go big picture and then we'll go on each one here. So the Eagles are 6-0. The Sixers are one of the favorites in the NBA this year. The Phillies are in the NLCS. Give me the tier of, if you want to tier it, excitement level, expectation, surprise, like tier it how you want, but give me those 3 in a tier here.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about surprises and just electricity, like, yeah, it's great that the Birds are 6-0 going into the break here, but let's be real. We all kind of hoped that we would at least be 5-1 when we looked at the schedule that we had when it came out. We had the 4th place schedule. So honestly, I gotta put them in that 2 spot. And then it decides, what am I more excited for? The Sixers, who have broken my heart and made me have egg on my face for the past 3 years? Or am I more excited about a Phillies team that everybody told us the bullpen won't be good enough? The hitting is too streaky. They don't have enough on the back end. They have 2 pitchers and not much else. It's got to be the Phils right now when we're talking about excitement level, just electricity. I was down in the city this weekend and it was just down in the streets. They had a part of South Street shut down. People viewing the game in the streets, drinks were flowing. Everybody was happy that, it seemed like a curse that was maybe put on them these past 11 years is finally open. It's been a champagne bottle that's been shaken up and rolling around in the back seat, and now it has burst, and it is Red October. Phillies fever is everywhere that you go, man. And you know me, like, I'm a football first guy as far as my hierarchy goes.
Yep, me too.
Football, and then probably basketball is like a close 1A. And then hockey is probably my distant 4th, but these Phils have me glued to my television. I find it tough to watch an entire baseball game through and through just because I love excitement. I love back and forth games, but this Phils team, since they have gotten rolling here towards the end of the season, I've watched more baseball than I probably watched in years. And honestly, I love that you guys carry them because I'm an old school guy when it comes to baseball. Like, if I'm not at the ballpark, I actually prefer listening. And we have one of the best broadcast teams in the business. So it's hard for me to not go with the Phils as far as excitement goes right now. Josh, what do you think? I mean, you're wearing the Phils tonight. You got to be all filled up.
It's weird because I'm with you. I love football first. Football is my number 1 sport. It always has, but always will be. But when you're a kid, and I feel like I explain to people all the time, Philly sports is like a birthright. Like, you're born into Philly sports fandom.
Yep.
The first sporting event I ever went to was not Eagles, not Sixers, not Flyers. And those 3 were not my second or third sporting events. The first 3 sporting events I went to was I was a kid decked out by my family in the Phillies outfit at the game. So my first sports memories are my grandfather, my grandmother, my mom, my aunts, them all being like, here's a Phillies hat, here's a Phillies shirt, everything was Phillies, Phillies, Phillies at first, because that's what the environment was. So for me, there's a part of me that wants the Phillies to be good. Like there's a yearning inside of me that you want the Phillies to be good because you have so many positive memories. Because guess what? Unless you come from a well-to-do family financially, you know what you were doing in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s? You were going to Phillies games. You weren't going to the Eagles games because those are usually by the ticket holders that hold the whole stadium, right? You know, the Flyers, you know, that's a special, unique fandom. Those Flyers people. That's like an animal unto itself.
It's a full-on like sect. You know what I mean? Like if you're a Flyers fan, you're a Flyers diehard. But I kind of agree with you. You know, it's easier to get to the ballpark. I mean, that's Americana at its finest, heading there. As far as this series goes, though, man, this Phillies-Padres series, I think they got a tough draw with this Padres team. I think clearly Philly Rob, our manager, he's thinking that the Phils can potentially steal one here and start off because they moved up Wheeler in the rotation. I was kind of surprised when we saw that it wasn't going to be Suarez. That tells me that this team believes that they can come in here against you, Darvish, and keep those bats hot. Does it happen, though, is the question. The thing that tells me the Phillies at least have a shot in this, because I'm a numbers first guy. You know what I mean? When it comes down to my handicapping, when I try and break down games despite sports, I think, yes, we can use our eyes. Yes, we can use what we learn, but use the numbers to kind of fill in that whole story. And the fact that you shop around and you're seeing plus 105 on the open, there really hasn't been much movement. And that's not just for tonight, it's for the series price too. So minus 125, the modest favorite for Padres, even though they get these first two games in San Diego. That plus 105, though, I think you wait on that. Like, I don't think you're placing a series price right now because if the Phils do stumble out of the gate here, number one, you're going to get a better price. And number two, why wouldn't you just take the plus 107 or plus 105 you can get in tonight's game if you think they're going to win? But this series is lined almost like a pick'em. Is that how you kind of see it too?
I think it's a 7-game series. I think
agree.
it goes all 7 for 2 reasons. One, because 4 of the 7 games are in San Diego. And I don't care what anybody says. The Phillies were on the road for 1,000,000 days already. At some point, it's got to get tiresome.
Yeah.
Like you lost 3-0 to the Braves. Nobody talks about that game anymore because they won the series, right?
Yep.
They won out of 5. They won 3 of the 5 games. Well, the problem was you still lost 3-0 in one game. So that tells me that this team is still capable of losing. So I'm going to assume they lose one of these games in San Diego.
What the crazy thing is, though, is money just keeps pouring in on the Phils here in game 1. And, you know, there hasn't really been any other news other than when they flipped and put Wheeler on the mound. So you're looking at 75% of the money that has been bet on this game has been placed on our Philadelphia Phillies. And typically people say, oh, you know, then that's bad. You know, that means the public is all over them. The interesting thing, only 55% of the tickets across the marketplace have been on the Phils. So that's typically indicative that the sharp money, these guys who are betting for a living, they think the Phils are stealing a game tonight. Now, they've been wrong before. My friend Dave Sherapan on the Cash Consideration podcast, he's been on here with you guys and Billy, and, you know, he calls them the squares, the rhombuses, the parallelograms. They lose just as much as the public, but people who are betting with a hefty amount of market-moving money believe in the Phils here tonight. I don't know. I mean, I love Wheeler, don't get me wrong, but I just... with how streaky this team has been, it always worries me when they have a couple days off. You know what I mean? I would prefer to roll right on into the next series.
Well, the other thing is, if you watch MLB Network, almost every analyst keeps saying the same thing. These are mirror teams. They're replicas of each other. You know, and at some point, it's like, if you have, it's like if you ever watch a fight, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you have 2 fighters who have similar styles, the first 2 rounds are probably going to neutralize each other. They take like 2 rounds to figure each other out. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the 6th inning tonight and it's 0-0 because Darvish and Wheeler are just throwing smoke. And then it's going to come down to one wrong pitch, one at bat, one moment. And then we're in the 9th inning and one of these teams is winning 1-0 because one guy found a way to get something off the other guy. And by the way, don't forget, the game is 8:00 tonight.
Yep.
I believe it's actually like 8:05 first pitch, something like that. It's 4:35 tomorrow. So I would be willing to guarantee you, Dan, that whoever wins tonight doesn't win tomorrow.
That because then I think you're really onto something there, Josh, because think about the team who does win tonight. It might be because they change up a lineup a little bit. Maybe they switch up who's going to be in their batting order late in the game. Maybe it's a manager change. So you figure there could be a heavy amount of energy expended tonight, and then it's a quick turnaround. I think you're onto something, and that's why I think you don't bet this game as far as who you think is going to win. I think since it's such a close series price, you just come back and bet the series price on whoever loses this game. Because if the Phils lose, you're going to be getting plus 145, maybe up to plus 165. If the Phillies win this game, you're going to be getting Padres, who are minus 125 to win the series right now, at potentially plus 130, plus 145. So I think if you're going to bet this game, you bet it the way that you kind of laid out there, and you maybe look for some different hit props, either on base unders. Because I'm with you. I think 6.5 juice to the over. There's some 7s out there as well. I don't know. I could see this being a lower scoring game. However, we always have to worry about the bullpen, Joshy. And you're holding a 6, and then the bullpen comes up. The game ends up 4-5, and you're like, oh my God. That's why I know it's square, but with these two guys on the mound, it's such a low first 5 total, but 3.5 under. I think that might be the way that I attack it. But
that might be the best bet. Don't even bet the winner.
That's
just bet first 5 innings.
You're my total guy, Josh. Like whenever I need to know, am I going over something? Am I going under something? I go to Josh's Twitter and I hope that he put out at Josh Hennig what he's betting over or under. Because I'm not a total guy, but that 3.5 tells me the odds makers think this is going to be a pitcher duel too. And it's hard to argue with the smoke that these two guys have been throwing all playoffs long.
Listen, Dave Sharapan told me before, he said, if you feel something and you're riding a wave, you ride that, okay? And I am right now between NFL and college football. I have hit on 25 of 30 under picks. Woo! So obviously I can't pick a side half the time, but I can pick a total.
Well, no, it was great because you guys and gals who are listening, check out the Cash Considerations podcast. They're all archived, and you can come on and listen to the episode that Josh came on with us. We do a segment that's called Laying or Taken, where we pick NFL games against the spread. Josh maybe gave us one side bet out of 8 games, but he gave us 8 unders, and I think like 7 of them hit. So I can back that up, that even when the name of the segment is Are You Laying or Taking, Josh is still saying, nah, I'm going under. But I don't know, man. I'm just excited for this Phils game, but I think we're both in lockstep that probably find some unders that you want to play, maybe even some player prop unders, or even some pitcher strikeout overs, or even just outs over. That could be a way to attack it too, because if there's guys grounding out, a way to get away from it, go into the player props and go to just earned outs. And if you think these guys are going to be going 6 innings, see if you can find, a 14.5 out over, because they still get credit for those outs as opposed to having to earn those Ks.
He's Dan Alexander. You can follow him on Twitter at Neuby Talks. Of course, he's the co-host of the Cash Considerations podcast. Phillies game 1 tonight. ESPN radio coverage at 7:30 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM. It's a Boog Sciambi and Doug Glanville on the call for ESPN tonight. So a nice little combo there on the airwaves. I'd be remiss if we didn't get to the other teams, because, we are the home of Sixers basketball, but the Sixers are being bumped to our Sixers sister station, Rock 104.1 tonight for the 7:30 begin. So Tom McGinnis is popping up on the Rock station tonight for Sixers basketball. How do you tier this Phillies team. Let's go there again, because I mean, you ask all the national people, right? You know, they're going to say, well, the Sixers are one of 6 teams that can win the NBA title, right? Well, for you, Dan, I want to ask you, how are you feeling about the Sixers on the night of the open of the season?
I feel the same way as I really do every year coming in. Is I know by around December, I'm going to be so jacked up for this Sixers team, because they're going to show me something. They're going to, oh my God, look at how in shape Harden looks. But the thing is, they need to stay healthy. They need to find a way that you're not breaking down Embiid until the playoffs come. And you don't want to rest him, because your team just becomes intrinsically different when Joel Embiid isn't on the floor. So I'm hoping that they can finally see Maxey. I think we've seen him take a step every single time he's been on the court. He's beefed up a little bit. If he can really just be that true second fiddle, and then James Harden, once he's streaking up and once he's streaking down, you always have that steady hand of Tyrese Maxey. And oh yeah, we also pay a guy named Tobias Harris a pretty penny that, 16 points a night is great, but we'd love you to be closer to that 20 point per game, every other game, not expecting him to do that every night on the floor. But I think tonight, even with Boston, even with Philadelphia, I love that that's the matchup to start it off. I love it that clearly the Sixers nationally are getting attention, because they're one of 4 teams who are opening the season here. But my outlook on either of these teams, Boston or Philadelphia, isn't going to change on what I see tonight, because there's so much surrounding this Boston team with the whole scandal going on. And, we don't have to get into that, but it is, a factor when you're trying to decide how much does that affect. I think it's gotten a little bit overblown as far as just how it will affect the team, because I think you have a coach on staff who's still been with them. How much do coaches in the NBA really change things other than rotation? So
Dan, it's funny you said that. I literally said before you came on, the NBA is full of random dudes who wander the sidelines. Okay?
Exactly.
So I don't care about Udoka not being there.
No.
What matters to me tonight is there's no Robert Williams.
Yes.
I'm betting the Sixers because arguably the second most important player of the Celtics that got them to the NBA Finals last year is out of this game.
Yes.
He's not playing, and he's not in my fantasy lineup. He's on the IR right now. So I'm well aware that Montrezl Harrell is probably having a double-double tonight.
Yeah, I don't hate that either, because I'm kind of with you. I feel like the spot just sets up really nicely for Philadelphia. And I also think if you listen to the quotes and see what they've been saying, like, these dudes are ready to get out there on the court. I don't know if the same could be said for Boston, because Boston already showed last year they don't have to start out hot out of the gate. They can figure some things out. And I think, maybe the moment of, look, we're coming back. It's the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not like they won last year, so I'm not saying they're going to have a championship hangover, but coming from the zenith of, oh my God, we were almost 1 game away from winning a championship, and then coming home playing against a rival who I feel like is going to be pretty jacked up for this game. I think it's a tough spot for Boston, and you're getting 3 points. You're getting a full possession with the Sixers. You're telling me that this game might not come down to 1 basket at the end of the game. I think there's 2 game scripts. Boston wins a close one, and oh my God, the Garden's rocking, or Philadelphia blows Boston out. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be a homer. I'm not saying that. It's just how the spot sets up. Embiid could just feast tonight. And as you said, Harris, we might not even need Embiid with who he'll be going up against. So the line has bounced around, which worries me a little bit. I think the line movement you saw today, where Boston this morning was about a 2.5 point favorite. Now they're up to 3. It touched 3.5. It even flirted with 4 at some shops. I think that had more to do with the injury report coming out, that you were going to get Smart, that you were going to get some of these other players, because now the buyback has kind of started happening. It's painted 3 across the board. So I think Philadelphia is a live dog tonight. Shocker, shocker. Not just saying it because it's getting carried here on 97.3. I just really think that this team, is a little bit more motivated and a little bit more focused coming into this game, which is weird to say for the start of the season, but Boston just has so much else going on behind the scenes, and it doesn't matter who the manager is, who's going to be, the coach on the sideline for him. It just matters to me more that maybe the players don't value this game as much as the Sixers do, and we'll see how that turns out.
By the way, over at FanDuel Sportsbook, plus 130, Sixers are on that money line. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I'm not saying throw that in a parlay with the Flyers and with the Phillies either. That's what I'm definitely not saying, Josh.
No, but if you're going to maybe just do an individual bet,
Yeah. I don't hate that. The other thing that I don't hate, and don't fall out of your chair, that over. And I know you're going to be missing some guys, but 216.5. I don't know. Look ahead line. They had this thing up at 229. So I get it that injury concerns moves it down, but injury concerns to me says more that there's going to be
there's
less
no
defense
defense.
Played. Exactly. But these two teams do hate each other, but I don't know, 216.5. I know you don't like those overs very much.
No, I like the overs when they benefit me. I do like the owners.
Yeah.
Listen, you know what I root for? I root for what I pick. That's what I root
Yeah, that's fair. That's a smart man. Smart man right there, Josh.
Before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the Eagles.
Yeah, baby.
6-0, best record in the NFL. They're on the bye week, though, which means we have an entire week to not be distracted from the Phillies and the Sixers and all that stuff. So right now, the Eagles are kind of hanging in the background, taking a breath, taking a siesta. What are your thoughts right now at the bye week?
Well, Eagles are 16.5-point favorites against the bye week, and I would lay it. Eagles are definitely beating the bye week this week, so that's at least good. We don't have to worry about them ruining the perfect record. But here's the thing, Josh, is yes, I am excited that the Eagles are 6-0. However, they got to figure out those second halves, man. Like, they have to figure out what they're doing coming out of those locker rooms, because the second quarter, they're just blowing teams away. They are leading in the NFL in what they do in the first half. But luckily, because of what we've gotten out of this secondary, which, I don't remember a secondary looking like this since the Troy Vincent, Brian Dawkins days. And I don't mean that hyperbolic. I mean, this is the best secondary in a decade plus that we've seen here in Philadelphia. And I don't even think that's much of a hot take. So thankfully, because of our back end, not the D-line who's kind of disappeared here a little bit, this team has been able to hold on to leads. That's the concern for me. They need to figure out what they're doing. Either it's the adjustments that they're making or the lack of adjustments is what I think's happening, where they say, well, why don't we just do what worked in the first half? Well, when you have a defensive coordinator scheming the entire halftime to take away what you did in the first half, you have to make some adjustments. They have the dynamic offense to do it. That's what I need out of them coming out of this bye, Josh, is figure out that second half scoring, because that will bite you come playoff time.
I do think it was encouraging, though, on Sunday night that they took a couple body shots. They got knocked back to the ropes, and they shook it off, and they said, okay, now we're going to fight back. Lane Johnson left the game. The Cowboys obviously made adjustments. They got the 2 touchdowns, right? And then the Eagles kind of shook it off, worked out the cobwebs, and came back and scored. I thought that was a big moment, because it doesn't, I always love to say, one of my favorite sayings, Dan, is it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Yep. Winning is winning, okay? And Dominic Toretto is on to something. I don't care about aesthetics. I don't care about, sex appeal with my wins. I just need you to win, okay? I don't care if it's aesthetic. And I thought Sunday night was a great example of the Eagles saying, I don't care how it looks. I'm finding a way to win.
Yeah, and that drive, running the ball just so effectively, taking 6 minutes off the clock, and exclamation point drive, getting it into the end zone. I'm with you. That was something that was encouraging to me, because it was something we hadn't seen. And I am with you partly that I don't care what you win by inch, by a mile, as long as I don't have you -6.5, which I did have the Eagles and they did cover. So in that instance, I did care what they won by. But one thing I will kind of share with people, just as we're wrapping up here and getting people ready to go, we got Phils, we got Sixers, we got Flyers. It's a terrific night here in Philadelphia. I will tell you, coming out of the bye, there's this age-old saying that you're rested and you're back home and you're excited. That has not been statistically what has happened against the spread since 2015. Teams coming out of the bye week that are home favorites have only covered 43% of the time.
Ooh.
So Philadelphia is going to be laying a number against Pittsburgh. They're up to 10-point favorites on the look-ahead line. I would take the 10 that you can get with Pittsburgh now, because if Pittsburgh looks decent this week, that line's going to be closer to 8.5, and I think Pittsburgh is covering the game. While the Birds do get the win out of the bye, I think it could be one of those ugly kind of clunky wins. So that's maybe a little bit of a look ahead. Take the spot with Pittsburgh, and I think the Birds do get it done, but plus 10 is pretty juicy with Mike Tomlin.
I said it yesterday. I have Rob Motti from the Associated Press on every Monday, Dan, and I said it yesterday. I think Tomlin and Belichick are starting to figure it out.
Yep.
And I think that's a problem for the rest of the league, because the rest of the year, you're going to see Patriots and Steelers on your schedule. And you know what the reaction is going to be?
Win.
Good grief. We gotta face them this week.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
I'm with you. And that's the thing, too, is both of them are going to be getting points, which Tomlin and Belichick, they don't get points very often on the spread. And when they do, well, just ask Tom Brady how that worked out for him as a 10-point favorite. That's all I'm saying.
Dan, I really think Belichick is having a time of his life right now, being like, I'm with a backup quarterback. Yeah. Nobody believes in us. I think he's got those guys believing, because let me tell you something. The way they're playing defense, all of a sudden, they couldn't play defense for 2-3 weeks. And then for the last 3 weeks, it's been like Belichick's on the sideline, like you see the Palpatine face come over his eyes, and you see the Force like lasers coming out. And he's like, I'm going to win this game.
We have seen Belichick smile 300% more in the past 3 weeks than his entire tenure with Tom Brady. That tells you when Belichick is smiling, it's not a good thing for the AFC. That's all I'm saying.
That's very true. At Neuby Talks on Twitter. Cash Considerations is the podcast. Dan, plug everything else that you're on.
Yeah, I think the easiest way, just follow me on Twitter. That's Neuby Talks, NEUBYTALKS. I'm the content manager for Wager Talk as well. I do some hosting on a show called Sports Memo Today. So you follow me there. And I always love chatting with people. Reach out, DM, just tweet at me. You have any questions? You're wondering what I'm seeing in the marketplace. I work with professional bettors too, so I hear a lot of chatter. I'm not saying I'm the sharp guy, but I know a lot of sharp guys. So anytime, just reach out to me on Twitter. You can find all my content there. Check out the Cash Considerations podcast, and I'm always a DM away. Appreciate you, Josh. Thank you.
Dan, thank you for jumping on. Take care of yourself, my friend.
Absolutely.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Of course, Game Night being brought to my friends over at Jenkins and Sons. Jenkins is the one call you should make. One call does it all. 3-generation family-run company. Call Jenkins for plumbing, drain cleaning, leak repairs, gas furnace, boiler, or hot water heater replacements. Jenkins technicians do it all. If homeowners and business owners both trust Jenkins and 97.3 ESPN, we got our own air unit from Jenkins in our studio. Shouldn't you call Jenkins as well? Give them a call at 609-641-6262, online at jenkinsandsons.com, or wrap up the show on the other side. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM.
The National League Championship Series on ESPN Radio.
The Philadelphia Phillies knocks out the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. The San Diego Padres have knocked off the Los Angeles Dodgers.
It's the best of 7 with a trip to the World Series on the line. Game 1 of the Padres and Phillies, presented by AutoZone. Coverage begins today at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
It's Phillies playoff baseball on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
On Friday, November 4th, AEW is on the road to Full Gear as AEW Rampage returns to Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City for the last time in 2022.
Hottest ticket in town.
Experience what all elite wrestling is all about, live and in person.
Oh my God!
You won't want to miss MJF.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
Saraya.
I am the revolution.
John Moxley.
You better step up or get stepped on.
Brian Danielson. Claudio Castagnoli. Dr. Britt Baker. DMD. Eddie Kingston.
I'll fight all of you right now.
Orange Cassidy, The Acclaim.
Everyone loves The Acclaim.
Swerving Our Glory. Hook, Hangman, Adam Page.
Hangman's in the house.
Jade, FTR.
Top guys, out.
Tony Storm. Wardlow, Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, and the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And that's entertainment.
And many more will be there live. Don't miss AEW Live at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Tickets are on sale now and start at $20 plus fees. Go to AEWTIX.com now. Card subject to change.
Did you hear about Taco Bell's apology? Yeah, they apologized for going too far with their breakfast. Like the naked egg taco and chicken biscuit nachos? It was too much. All you need in the morning is tasty, simple food. Like the breakfast crunch wrap. Fluffy eggs, melty cheese, sausage, crispy hash browns, wrapped in a warm tortilla. Or, as some call it, a breakfast crunch thing. Grab one today, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours only until 11 a.m. While supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation, which vary.
Okay, 3 more climbers, 7 loggers.
Ted's sustainably sourced logging company is growing a new branch.
What about truck driver contracts?
Which means a new HR manager will be the first hire to fall.
Then we'll need to staff up the warehouse.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Is chronic heartburn making you hear this in your sleep and after you wake up and after every meal? Well, every time you hear it, it should remind you to talk to Atlanticare because we can find the underlying issue that's causing your heartburn and create a personalized plan to treat it so you don't have to keep doing this. Shake chronic heartburn for good. Visit Atlanticare.org/heartburn.
Get what you want and pay over time when you use your Lowe's Advantage Card. Now through October 26, 2022. Ask for 0% APR with 36 fixed monthly payments on a product installation or appliance purchase of $1,000 or more. Shop for the appliances you want in-store or online. Or go to the store nearest you for installation. Now at Lowe's. Offer subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store or Lowe's.com for details. U.S. only.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, wrapping up the show. Great stuff from Dan Alexander. Give a follow on Twitter at Neuby Talks. All right, so here's the rundown again. Those who didn't hear it earlier. Tonight, 7:30 p.m. coverage of Phillies Game 1 of the NLCS, ESPN Radio with Boog Sciambi and Doug Glanville on the call here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Over on our sister station, Rock 104.1, you'll get the season opener. The home opener will be here on 97.3 on Thursday, but the Sixers season opener at Boston, Tom McGinnis on the call on our sister station, Rock 104.1. If you want to catch that over there and all the coverage of the Flyers game tonight over on our website, 973ESPN.com and 973 ESPN mobile app. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll get you Thursday.
Health update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
There's just something about.
Yeah, really quick. For those who are watching on the YouTube stream, thank you for watching. As always, hit the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends. No show tomorrow because the Phillies game is at 4:30. So that means Mike Gill is going to be only on until 4:30, and then I won't be on at all tomorrow. So that's the plan as of now. I won't be back on again until Thursday. So just a quick thought before I get out of here. Sports is something that is supposed to be, about, a real life, real time reality show without a script, right? But I think one of the problems we're running into as sports fans right now in the world we live in is that we are starting to project the toxicity of our real world environments onto the sports world. And I would just encourage people to get back to what sports was supposed to be. Escapism. When the game is over, you don't have to hyperanalyze it. You don't have to be mad about something. Just roll with it. Just enjoy yourself. As I said earlier, I really like the Sixers to win tonight. Plus 130 is really looking appealing. I don't know if the Phillies win tonight. I really don't. I have no feel on who wins the game tonight. I just want it to be a good game and an interesting game. So, if we can make some time tomorrow, I'll try to do a YouTube-only show. If not, I'll see you guys back on Thursday. Josh Hennig on YouTube, at Josh Hennig on Twitter, Joshua S. Hennig on Instagram. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll catch you next time.